Okay. So I'm audible, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect then. Okay, cool. Then we can get started.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Ramanji. Sorry for the delay.
No problem.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at your resume. So currently you're working with Wells Fargo, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we can start with your brief introduction. Please go ahead with your introduction.
Yeah. Thanks for giving this opportunity. It's my name is Ramanji. My friends call me as Ramu and different short names. I have been working with the .NET since around 12 years, and I have good exposure on .NET Core, .NET MVC, and ASP.NET. My career was started as an ASP.NET. After that, I was moved to MVC. Presently working with the .NET Core microservices and Azure as a lead software engineer. Apart from that one, I have good exposure on different databases and different in terms of doing the POCs to the different problem statement with the latest technologies with Azure, AWS, all the things. I have done MCA from Acharya Nagarjuna University. I was working as a lead to contributing as an individual contribution to help the team to grow up to the speed of the sprints, as well as the understanding of the functionality in terms of is there is any requirement gap to the SMEs or business and clients as well. I got a lot of appreciations in terms of best employee of the year and best employee of the month, and a lot of client recognition from US, UK, APAC, and other regions as well. Like I was working with the as a point of contact for the blocker issues as well. If there is any blocker, we need to support them as well. This is myself high level, Shankar.
Okay. So you are currently employed with Wells Fargo, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you joined like around last year, right? It's been a year and a half.
Yeah.
So any specific reason why you are moving from Wells Fargo?
Yeah, the thing is, I was I need an 2 months leave. Okay, due to some my family health issues. They are saying that as part of their policy, it is not possible, and I have resigned it. And July 22nd is my last working day. After that, I was took care of my family health and all the things which is needs to be taken care. And now I am actively looking for change. I already left that organization, and July 22nd is my last working day. And these 2 months I took care of my family, and I am last week itself I am actively looking for one of the good opportunity, Singer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are available now, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Immediately, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect then. So let me brief about the opportunity which we are looking for.
Okay.
Right. The expectation from the candidate is we are basically having a lot of applications,
Correct.
mostly on ASP.NET, MVC, and a lot of services which need to be migrated to microservices.
Correct.
Right? That's a plan.
Correct.
And so we need a candidate who is good in understanding the existing system as well as migrating to the newer technology. So that's the entire process. Okay. So he should be in a position to handle all the requests by himself, right? Without any help from other team members. He should be able to handle everything of his own.
No problem.
And you or the candidate have to contact with the line of business in the US and get the requirement. Make sure you complete the deliverable. Definitely. Yeah. And also in case if there is any need or any technical support required to the junior members, right? Maybe 3 years or something, right? So you should be in a position to guide the team. Correct. So this is the overall expectation from the candidate. Okay. So I hope going through your resume and to whatever you explained, right? Yeah. So it looks like pretty much you are covering all those areas now. Correct. Exactly. So okay, so that's the job description we are looking at. Right? So with that said, right, we can straightly go directly to the questions, right? So I'll be touching on few areas in .NET, right? So predominantly .NET fundamentals of .NET and ASP.NET, MVC.
Okay.
You worked on Angular also, so we'll be talking about Angular, and then about the SQL servers, right?
Sure.
So .NET Core and SQL servers.
No problem.
So these are areas we'll be interviewing now.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, let's start with .NET, right? So you worked almost like 12 years in Microsoft technology, right? So what is mean by .NET? What is mean by assembly?
Assembly is a kind of executable code. Whatever the CLR which was executed and make it is ready. This code has to be understandable format, and those understandable format by the OS we can able to make it as run. And whatever the code inside of whatever we have done the coding of the language, it will be converted as a assembly is an assembly format, and it will be easily readable by the OS, and we can able to perform the operations.
Okay, so what is meant by shared assembly?
Shared assembly, we have a concept of public assembly and private assembly. Shared assembly will come into the public assembly. Shared assembly is a reusable component. If we can develop any one of the class library, I want to make this has to be used by the all the systems. We can create a shared library. We need to GAC a global assembly cache like that. We need to configure. There are some of the steps we have to follow, and we can convert that assembly to the shared assembly. Then we can able to right click and add the references. We can able to go to the system library. Instead of like that, we can able to get those libraries from the references.
Okay. What is reflection in .NET?
There is a concept of I want to get the current execution file or current execution method at the time of runtime. In those cases, we can go ahead with the reflection. System data reflection is the namespace to get the property, to get the class name, to get the method name. At the time of runtime, I want to get the dynamic processing or dynamic variables, or it's a time of dynamic. I want to get the dynamic information at the time of dynamic in terms of the class or method or the property. You can use the reflection.
Okay. What is mission.config file?
Mission.config file basically. I was like 6 or 7 years back. I was working with that one, but actually I forgot that what is exactly used. There is a use in terms of while we are using with the I think assemblies itself. It's the mission.config file. It is used to get the specific mission related information, I believe, but I am not sure. I did not remember that exactly. Presently working with the .NET Core, but it was 6 years back. I was working with the GAS and public assembly, shared assembly, and these are all the mission information like that, mission configuration.
Okay. So what is meant by worker process?
Yeah, worker process. For example, an application. Each application it has to be run by the some processes. For example, if the .NET application W3 WP and .NET Core application .NET.exe, these are the worker processes. Worker processes they have their own memory and RAM to run that application, to execute that application in terms of threads and all the information.
Okay, so for one web application, how many worker processes will be created?
One application is one worker process.
Okay. Is it possible to communicate between one worker process to another worker process?
Yes, definitely possibility is there.
Okay. How will you handle state management and ASP.NET?
We can use the different ways like cookies, view state, sessions, and application.
Okay. So what is meant by serialization?
Serialization is the process of converting from process of converting from string to object format.
Okay. So, so for you have a class, right? So okay, let me say this right. So you set session and cookies, right? So is it possible to keep a value in session?
Can you repeat the question, please? Sorry.
Is it possible to keep a value in session variable?
Yeah, why not? Session of property name equal to value object or reference. We can do that.
Okay. So I have a employee class. Can I keep the object of the employee class in the session variable?
Yeah, why not? You can do it.
Okay. Is there any specific way you need to write the employee class?
Employee class specific way means I did not get.
No, any class can be kept in a session variable, or you have to do some decoration.
Yeah, we have to do some. Yeah, we have to do some. We have to do some session of the property name, and we need to assign the reference variable of specific. We need to use the HTTP context.
Right. No. What I'm asking is, how will you write the class, employee class?
Okay.
Do you need to implement any specific?
I don't think so. If you want to, maybe we can go ahead with some attributes are there. We haven't used that one. We have used only that some specific user information or some kind of uniqueness of the information is using in the session. But we in this case we have used with the caching of client side caching or server side caching to maintain the information of employee information, but we haven't saved this kind of large object into the session.
Okay, so there is something called a serializable, right?
Correct.
Have you heard about serializable?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, where you have implemented serializable?
Serializable. Okay, there is a annotation is there. If you want to use the serializable annotation, it will try to include of this thing into the. It will consider in terms of the while serializing or deserializing.
Okay. So moving to C#, right? In C#, have you worked on generics?
Yes.
Okay. What is the difference between array list and generic list?
Array list is a kind. Basically, it will allow us to store the different data types. And generic list, what is array list versus? Can you give me that other name?
Yeah, generic list.
Okay.
Array list and generic.
Yeah, array list is the kind of allow any type of the data like a string, integer, float, and object reference as well. Generic list is a kind of only the specific type. A specific type in the sense list of t or list of integer, list of strings only. It will allow the specific type. The boxing and unboxing is not required in the generic list, and array list is the boxing unboxing is required because we don't know what is the type we are going to save, and this will take give the less performance of array list. Generic list will give the more performance because boxing and unboxing is not needed.
Okay. What is the difference between the keyword out and ref?
Yeah, basically out and ref both are used to pass as a reference from callee to caller. Only the basic difference, the out is it will not maintain the values, whatever the values which we are calling from the callee to caller, and it will simply ignore. It will be override, and it will simply modified values will return to the caller to callee. But ref it will pass as a reference, right? If there is any modification is happen in the inside of callee, it will be reflecting as well as callee part as
well. Okay. What is multi-threading?
Multi-threading is a concept of I want to run that program as a sequentially or as a parallelly. In those cases, you can go ahead with the threading. Threading is a kind of sub. It will any one of the application, it will run only one main thread, and if you want to run that all the process or all the functionality in a main thread, it will take some time, even though we don't have any dependency of the method 1 to method 2 or method 3 like that. In those cases, we can go ahead with the multi-threading and create a thread and create a start the thread, and we can perform some kind of an operation, and it will also, it will it will not maximum utilize of all the multi cores, but it will make it as a some kind of it seems as a parallel processing, but initially internally it will use as a one after the other time slicing basically.
Okay. So how will you handle exceptions in C#?
We can handle by using the try catch black.
Okay. So I have a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So function A, function B, and function C. Mm-hmm. Function A calls function B, mm-hmm, and function B calls function C.
Okay.
So here, how will you write try catch block?
Function A, function B, function C. Function A call function B, function B call function C. I can use the try catch block of function C, and I can use the throw keyword from the function C. From function function 3 to function C to function B, I will use the try catch, and I can also throw it. And I want to make the stack trace where the exactly the issue is happening.
Okay, basically you will write try catch in all the functions. That's what it's saying.
You can also do it function A and function C, and I can throw it from function C directly to function B also. We can able to get it. Otherwise, we can have a concept of globalized exception handling in .NET MVC. We can go ahead with the globalized app start, and I can configure as a custom. If it is .NET Core, is a custom middleware. If it is MVC, custom exception handler, I can able to catch it, and all the exceptions I can able to, if any one of the exceptions which was not happened handled properly, it will go to the global exception handler.
Okay. What is sealed class?
Sealed class is basically, I don't want to give an extension or extended a facility, or I don't want to make this class as a subclass to any of our other classes.
Okay. Is it possible to use the keyword this in static method?
This no.
Why?
This is an object reference, and static is it is not an object specific. It is a class specific.
Okay. What is delegates?
Delegates is a pointer to a function as a theoretical definition. In this case, I don't want to create a function definition and implementation and all the things. Without declaration of the separate function, I can implement of if it is a small functionality, I can write as some kind of delegate, and I can implement the logic inside of the delegate. I can simply call the delegate whenever it is needed. We have the simple delegate or single cache delegate or multi-cache delegates, and based on the requirement, we can go ahead with the implementation.
Okay. What is nullable types in C#?
Nullable types basically to handle the nullable types, basically to handle the null kind. If it is any kind of whenever we are calling as a database of the some of the properties, it might be null. In those cases, nullable properties will taking care of. Instead of throwing an exception, we can create nullable types of single question of the specific property, but string will always support as nullable types.
Okay. So let's move on to ASP.NET MVC, right? Mm-hmm. So in ASP.NET MVC, I have a new requirement to add a drop down or a select box in UI. Okay. So maybe you can call it as a country list. Okay. So database has a list of countries, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to fetch the data from the database and show to the list. Show in the UI. Okay. So it's a MVC model. So how will you do change, and which are the layer? What are the codes you will write.
I have already view is there. I want to add the list box and to call this list box.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Here we can go ahead with the different ways. I can use an Ajax call to call as in one kind of API to get the data and assign to the list box. And instead of that one, we can also do it at the time of model view. I can create a one kind of a property as a the list of the source, and I will at the time of page load, I will try to get that all the information to the list, and I can assign to the model property. And in the model property in the CSHTML page, model at the time of the red of model dot used model dot the properties list of property, I can directly assign by using the runtime by using the run at server variable size there, right? For example, at the rate of at the rate, it will assume that all the code will be executed at the server side, right? Those case, I can go ahead with the HTML helper attributes to get the model properties, and I can assign to the list.
Okay. Okay. So now I have another scenario.
Okay.
I have 40 text boxes in a web page.
Okay.
The view I have, it's an ASP.NET MVC project.
Okay.
And you have 40 text boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
On click on the submit button,
Mm-hmm.
you have to collect all the 40 text box value and send it to the database.
Mm-hmm.
How will you do it?
40 text boxes, and I have the click event, and I want to send all the 40 text box values to server. That is the requirement.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Is there any model which is this text box value 1 property, it should match with the model property like that, or simply we need to send the value? You don't need to bother about serialization and deserialization or assigning and model validation like that.
Okay, it's an MVC, right? We have a model. We have a model class already available.
Okay, I can able to get the value and I can pass through as a model, and I will get the value based on the. We can also do this simply like HTML helpers are there. I can use that model view validate. For example, at the rate of HTML dot text box for, and I can give the value and model dot property. Instead, based on this model, if you click in this, if I click on that model, if I click on that event as a form submit, I can declare of all the properties as inside of the form, and each text box is I will use as a model properties. If I click on this one, whatever the model properties, it will automatically bind to the model values.
Okay. Suppose if there is no model class, right? How will you do it? You just need to pass the control value. That's it.
Okay. I can get it the values from Ajax call. Based on the ID, I can get the value and assign to the property of jQuery object or JSON object. I can pass it, and it will as an MVC by default it will try to assign the proper model assignments, right? Deserialization and serialization as a life cycle. It will automatically assign this property value to the model, or it's a model or DTO. We don't need to bother about.
Okay. In terms of entity framework, will you do it?
Entity framework from client side to server side, you need to say, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I can. Yeah, if it is a entity framework, if you are using with a DB context or save changes of the property, basically I will not directly use this model because as a standard from client side to server side, the DTO has to be passed. The DTO has to be in terms of we need to use as a some conversion by using automapper, converting from model to DTO, and we can use that view to save the database, save changes or stored procedure or some other way.
Okay. So there is something called as form collection. So when you think we have to use form collection?
Form collection. Form collection. If you want to pass as a it's a kind of image or some to post that image or to post the files from client side to server side, we can use the form collection.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to Angular, right? So how does an Angular application work?
Angular application basically index.html is the file which is having the root attribute app-root. Whenever it is find it, it will try to go to the application module and it will try to load of the basic HTML. It will load it to the basic HTML as a single page application. From there itself, in the app-root, we have that component and we have the HTML. We can define as a it's a kind of routers, and if it is based on the routing, it will try to open the if you try to open or load the child component, or it will try to use the input decorator and the output or emitter, and using the template variable to communicating with the parent to child and child to parent. These are all the things will come into the picture whenever we are working with a single page application.
Okay. So what is template component in Angular?
Template, if I want to pass the value from parent to child or child to parent, we can use the template components, and we can also go ahead with the validation. Otherwise, we have the concept of reactive forms. We can use the template for template variables and the template properties to provide the validation and to perform some kind of an action.
Okay. What is two-way binding?
Two-way binding ng model is a two-way binding to whenever there is a change in the component to HTML and HTML component, we can go ahead with the two-way binding.
Okay. What is dependency injection?
Dependency injection basically I want to inject the specific object and it has to be created. The object creation taken care by the third party library. I don't want to take care of creation and disposable of an object and maintenance. And we have the different kind of disposable like singleton, transient, and scope. Right? These are the things as a developer, as an end user, I don't want to take care. The framework will take care in terms of MVC. We can use the inject or Unity or .NET Core default support of dependency injection. And Angular, it will also have the constructor level injection will support. It will taking care of injection of the specific services.
Okay. What is lazy loading?
Lazy loading in terms of entity framework, in terms of Angular. Are you expecting in Angular or in entity framework?
No, in Angular.
Angular, as a single page application, it will load all the parent, all the modules into a single page application. If you have, I don't want to load up all the modules at a time. Based on the requirement, I can load it and I can load as a dashboard. We have the module of admin, we have the module of fees, we have the modules of the reports. Whenever there is whenever the user is required in terms of routing, that time I can go ahead with the lazy loading. I will load only the necessary information. I will go ahead with the route data from child. Whenever it is finding of the route, it will try to load the dependenceable module and it will try to perform an operation. It will give us more performance. Here, go ahead with the lazy loading.
Okay. What is Angular CLI?
CLI is a command line interface to create a component to run an application. It's a kind of command line commands. It will create a components, it will create a modules, and it will try to execute it, run it based on the command line interface tool.
Okay. What are pipes?
Pipes are used to perform some kind of filtering, and I want to apply some kind of number format, date format, or decimal format, or to filter off all the data as a client side. You can go ahead with the pipes, or we can also create a custom pipe.
Okay. So have you used any implementation in pipes? Can you give an example?
Example in the sense, I have 10,000 of record, and I want to get only the top 10 records, and at the time of pagination. In this case, I can load the data at the time of first time. I can able to perform that all the filtering and the searching and sorting. I have a grid. Each grid is having the columns, and each column is having the some kind of search, like start with, ends with, equal to, not equal to kind of thing. In these cases, I don't want to go to the all the times to the database. I can able to save into the service file. I can do the performance of the filtering operation, and I can able to assign to the data to the grid.
Okay. What is HTTP interceptors?
HTTP interceptors, basically I want to use as a modify the custom headers for all the API calls at any single place. Some kind of formatting has to be changed, some kind of additional attachment, some kind of adding of authorization header in a single place instead of multiple places. We can do ahead with the I want to change the HTTP request and response, and I want to do some kind of modification in a single place by using HTTP interceptor.
Okay. How will you implement authentication and authorization for an Angular application?
By using guards, we can implement authentication and authorization.
Okay. What is observables?
Observables, basically we have an async and await mechanism. It will try to check it, and it will try to, whatever the data is emitted, it will try to do it as a list of objects.
Okay. What is CORS issue? How will you fix it?
CORS issue, basically I have a client application and server application. Both the application might be different ports or different domains and different IPs. So those cases we need to enable as a cross in API side to allow the multiple. As a browser, latest browsers will not allow to communicate with the different APIs or different domains communication. As an developer, we need to especially mention we need to enable the CORS at a server side, as well as if you want, you can also use as a CORS as a client side as well.
Okay. So how will you call a web service or RESTful service from an Angular?
By using HTTP service, get put post method, and you can able to call pass the data based on the HTTP methods, and we can get the data.
Okay. So you mentioned that you worked on CI, right? Continuous integration.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So how will you implement CI for an Angular application?
CI for Angular application, we can create a task for npm installer. We have a task is npm, and we can install that npm, and we can use the npm ng build as well as ng build and we have the tasks of Angular npm module, and I can add these tasks. First I will build that application. I can start that application. then I can install that npm first. After that, I can validate that npm build, and I can able to start this in the production mode or dev mode. These are the three tasks are majorly involved in the CI process.
Okay. So how will you call parent view, parent template from a child template?
By using template, we can call, or by using output emitter also we can do that one.
Okay. So what are the major difference you see between .NET Framework and .NET Core?
Yeah, one of the major thing I was observed is it's a platform dependency as a .NET framework, and .NET Core is not a platform dependency. By using the Kestrel server, we can host it as an application in IaaS in the .NET framework, and we can host as a multi hosting in terms of IaaS. We can also use the Kestrel, and we can do that Windows as well as Linux in .NET Core. Apart from that, what I observed is if it is if it is a .NET Core application, is a cloud readiness application, we can able to host is on-premise, on-prem as well as cloud. It will be easy to migrate it from the on-premise to cloud easily with the using of latest .NET Core different tools. In the .NET framework, it will be have the some kind of for example, if you want to go ahead with the Docker, .NET framework will not be supportable easily. And if you want to go ahead with the different kind of microservices application with the Kubernetes, .NET framework will not support. There are the if you want to develop as an application in the different languages in terms of the Java and the modular based application, .NET Core will support. .NET framework it is having some dependency because we don't have the microservices and the container based application, right? Then it will be have the some dependency to communicate with each other.
Okay. Okay, moving on to SQL Server, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have written stored procedures, right?
Okay, yeah, correct.
Okay. So how will you create a stored procedure with optional parameters?
We can give as a optional parameters always be a last of the particular stored procedure. It would be better option. Okay, we can declare as int a equal to 0. We need to assign the default values as integer a if it is a default values of string is an empty or null.
Okay. Okay. So in the UI, let's take our old example, right? So UI we have list of maybe you have a grid of information.
Okay.
For example, you have 30 rows of records, right? 30 rows, 10 columns. You have a table of information in the UI.
Okay.
And you have to pass the value to a stored procedure. That in that stored procedure will do the insertion to the actual table, database table. How will you create the stored procedure? What type of parameter you will use?
Structured parameters, and I can create a TVP, and I can define as a data type that structure, and I can pass as I need to create a table to assign the value to the structured data type.
Okay, so you don't do looping.
Looping in the sense at the time of creating the table itself, we can use the generic one kind of extension method to pass as a list, and it will convert to the data table. And I don't want to loop it. Basically, that inside it will be have the looping. I don't want to loop it in the stored procedure. I will pass as a TVP, and I can use it as if it is insert statement. I can use as a merge in the inside of the stored procedure.
Okay. Is it possible to update a view?
Yes.
Okay. Is it possible to update a view in case or if it is having more than one table concatenated?
Yes, it is possible, but if it is having the two tables is having the same column, in that case it is not possible.
Okay. Okay. Fine then. So I'm done with my questions, Ramanji. So, any other questions for me before we wrap up?
I don't have any questions, and all the questions are related to .NET Framework and .NET MVC, right? As you said that it's a migrated project. Is that project is going to migrated, or we have to be start, or we need to work on the ASP.NET and MVC like that? I just need some small clarification.
Right. So we are going to start the migration. So microservice is our plan, and but we also need someone who knows what is the existing system, right?
Correct.
We cannot just
Correct.
just like that pull things out, and we should not be in a problem. So we may need to support the existing application as well as we have to meticulously plan and move to the new system. So we are looking for we are forming a new team basically. So it's a bigger plan. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Shankar.
Okay, perfect, Ramaji. So if there is no further questions, we can wind up the call.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.